In a world full of digital distractions, I found myself equally as obsessed with my smart devices as everyone else. Constantly swiping, scrolling, binging, my life was completely consumed by a screen. It wasn't until I started to feel disconnected from reality that I decided to make the shift from digital to analog. So, without wasting another second, let's dive into the analog tools I use over their digital counterparts and how they've changed my life. Notebooks. I'm currently using 4 different notebooks, each with their own purpose, which I will go over in just a second. But first, I want to talk about why I choose to use a notebook over my smartphone. Yes, smartphones are really nice. There's so many different apps for productivity, habit tracking, and your schedule. However, there is a caveat that comes along with them. One is ads. Most of them, if not all of them, have ads that pop up out of nowhere, or they're on the sides, or they're on the bottoms. They're everywhere and they're very annoying. So I find it very difficult to stay focused on the app that I'm using and just staying on that because there's always something that pops up. Even if it's something that I don't care about, it still takes my attention away from what I was doing. And the other thing that bothers me aside from the ads is the notifications. Because I'm on my device, it's impossible for me to stay focused on that thing. So let me quickly go over what I use each of these notebooks for. Starting with the pocket notebook, this is my everyday carry notebook. Currently, I'm using the Field Notes Is a River Alive edition, which is really nice. I actually have a video about it. I really like to use these little memo books because they're easy to carry with me. I mostly use them for writing down my daily schedule, my reminders, and my favorite reason for using them is to brainstorm different ideas. Second book that I use is a journal. This is a Pen and Gear brand hardcover journal. I've been using these for a couple years now. I really like them. I use it pretty much every day or every other day. Third notebook I use is this Field Notes Pitch Black edition. These ones they're pretty thick, so they're nice. This one's a bit bigger than the first notebook that I showed. I just use this for tracking my expenses and my finances. I used to use Google Sheets for that, but it was a little bit too complicated. Well, I made it too complicated and I found that it was much more simple for me personally to just write it down. Lastly, the fourth notebook that I use is this, again, Field Notes. I really love the brand. This one is for tracking my highlights. So my yearly highlights, I track it by the month. So for example, January, a highlight for me was that I played Clue for the first time. If I go to see a movie that I really wanted to see, I'll also write this down. So it's really just to keep track of all the things that I found really interesting or fun. I also like to stick photos that I've taken and like movie tickets, things like that. So it's almost kind of like a scrapbook. Obviously, a notebook is pretty much useless to me without a writing tool, which brings me to my next item, a pen. I started collecting pens earlier this year. I'm a huge stationery nerd, so it was bound to happen. I'm going to quickly go over my little collection that I have going here and what I use them all for. Starting with this EDC pen. I got this from Amazon for about $10. It's a fountain pen. It's really nice because it's a wood body and it has a metal cap. So you can actually take it off, screw it to the back of it, and it becomes longer, so it's much easier to write with. And honestly, considering the price, it writes really well. I don't actually have any complaints about it. It feels nice in my hand, it writes well. It came with 20 refills, so I don't have to refill it for a while. Second pen I want to talk about is this Field Notes Fisher Space Pen. This one is also really tiny, like the other one. You can also take the cap off, put it on the back of it to make it longer. It writes nicely, considering it's a ballpoint, which I'm usually not a fan of, but this one's actually pretty nice, so I can't really complain. Moving forward, I have this Soothie brand pen, which I am in love with. It is so smooth. Okay, first let me talk about the thing that I don't like about it. My only complaint is that this is a thick baby, it's thick. Other than that, I'm obsessed. It's butter, it's angelic, it is heavenly. And I love to write in cursive when I journal, and this baby right here, it does the job. Lastly, I'm gonna talk about this cross pen that definitely costs too much money. However, it was worth it because it's beautiful. Okay, look at this. One more time. All right, look. This one is so cool because it has the Illinois state on it with a little jewel inside. And if you don't know, I live in Chicago, Illinois. So when I saw this, I was like, ooh, steal. And I think these are roller ball pens. No, actually, I think they're ballpoint. But It's beautiful. The other one is actually a mechanical pencil. I don't use it very often, but when I do draw, I like to use a pencil and then go over it with either a pen or a marker later on. It feels really, really good in my hand, especially because I have pretty small hands. It's really thin and has a nice build to it. So I like it. I love it. No, I love it. Cassette player. I've been rocking this bad boy for about a month or two. I love carrying it with me, especially on my commutes, because I take the bus a lot. So it's nice to just stare out the window, pretend I'm in a music video, and just listen to music. And it's nice because, of course, you can listen to music on your phone. You have the option to listen to literally anything you want, whenever you want. But the thing I don't like about that is because it takes the fun out of it. But when you have limited options, there's something more exciting about it. You know, like I like to go to record stores, look around to see what they have. They're not always gonna have what I'm looking for, but I always find something that I actually do enjoy, and a lot of times it's better than what I wanted in the first place. Another thing I like about this cassette player is that it's a radio. So sometimes I don't wanna listen to any of the cassettes that I have, I just wanna listen to the radio. Some of my favorite records are this Sound Sleep one. I don't actually use it for sleeping. It's like ambiance. Another one of my favorites is the Braveheart theme song. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it's actually a pretty good movie. But the soundtrack though is really, really good. It's very calming, it's peaceful, I like that. Sometimes I don't want to listen to anything that's too crazy. Sometimes I do, but other times I just want to relax. Sticking to like the focused music, I also really like to listen to Mozart. This one's a little bit more upbeat than the other ones, but it's still pretty chill for like what I'm looking for. Analog watch. I posted a everyday carry video a couple months ago, and at that time I was rocking a Apple Watch. I believe I did mention in the video that I was looking for an analog watch because I was tired of it buzzing all the time and always getting notifications, and it's always like turning on every time I move my hand, and then I'm just distracted, like I want to look at it every second. I hated that. I check my phone 1,000 times a day, only for the time. Like, yeah, to be fair, I go on it for other reasons as well, but I found that like I'm always looking at my phone just to see what time it is. You can't get any more simple than this. I got it for $10 on Amazon. It's nice, I like it, it's very simple, and it matches pretty much with everything. I do want to get a brown one, like a brown and gold, because I feel like that would also look really nice. It does one thing, it tells the time. Cameras. Obviously, as a photographer and filmmaker, I have an appreciation for all things camera related. These ones here are all analog. These three are for photography, and then this one is for shooting video. The thing I love about analog shooting, whether for photo or video, is that you have to slow down. So you really have to focus on what you're capturing. Whereas with digital, you can take 10, 15, 20 photos or videos of the same exact thing. But if you're shooting analog style, it's expensive for one photo or a cassette tape. So you don't want to waste it. So you focus a little bit more on what you're actually capturing. You slow down and you're more patient. And like in the world that we live in right now, especially like I live in Chicago, everything is very fast paced. And I do like it to an extent, but sometimes I really just want to relax. I want to be at peace and I want to just slow down. And sometimes when I get in those moods where I just need to slow down, I'll take one of these cameras out to go shooting. Maybe I'm already gonna go do something and I'll just take it with me so that I can capture the moment and be done with it. Because I do get in a habit of taking like a digital camera with me and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna get some stuff for YouTube. Most of the time I don't even use the stuff that I like capture when I'm out and about. And then I put too many constraints on myself. But if I have one of these, it's like, there's no constraints, just have fun. Like sometimes I just need to have fun. Like not everything has to be about YouTube. A book. Currently, I'm reading Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. I've heard a lot of successful people recommend this book, so I decided to check it out. Usually, I'm not really into biographies, but I decided maybe this would be a good time to try at least. I really love to read in general. I always have. I want to say the start of last year, I decided to start bringing my books with me, like when I'm traveling, so not just like read at home, but during my commutes, because I commute about 2 hours a day. The amount of days kind of ranges a bit depending on the week. And before, I would go on my phone, maybe watch Netflix, scroll through Instagram, nothing. Pretty much I did nothing. And then I was like, man, I'm wasting a lot of time. Like I feel like I could be doing so much more with my commuting time. And then I decided, why don't I just bring my book with me so I can be a lot more productive instead of wasting my time going on my phone to do nothing. Reading a book is a way better option. I really like the feeling of a book. And I also like to add in little stickies, like I don't know if you can see that, but I like to add in little stickies on the pages that stand out to me. And I can't do that if I'm looking at like a iPad or whatever. Like maybe there's a function where you can put in a note, but it's not the same. And I don't like it. So I'm gonna stick to a book. Postcards. Along with starting a pen collection this year, I also decided to start a postcard collection for some reason. I never thought that I would, but here we are. And because I love going to thrift stores, I like to check out their vintage style ones. They always have so many really cool ones. But I don't only like to collect these, I also have started writing to my friends and family. There's something about writing a postcard or a letter to someone, and there's a different feeling that you get when you either are writing to someone or you're receiving a written message from someone rather than a digital message. Like if someone texts you or calls you, yeah, it's nice to hear from them, but it doesn't feel as meaningful. Whereas if they wrote to you, there's something different about it. Another thing is, do you remember when you were a kid and you received mail? Like there was something about receiving mail as a kid that was so exciting. Like there was nothing like it. And now as an adult, receiving mail is like, it sucks because it's probably a bill that you don't want to pay, but not as a kid. And I want to give people that feeling of being a kid again. I'll leave you with a prompt. Are there any analog tools that you're currently using? If not, were there any from this list that I mentioned that interested you in any way? If so, let me know because I want to see if we're truly moving back in time like people say. With that said, I'll see you in the next one.